watching HALENVILLE Live with Fruitcake Tony. Woo!
What's up, guys?
All right, yes, and we are live. Absolutely, it's Tuesday. This is HALENVILLE. It's Tuesday, yeah. And we're live with Chris Gill. Chris Gill is in the house tonight, kids. What's
Woo!
up, Chris?
Look at that.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing
Have a good week.
Yeah,
One heck
man.
of a week.
Yeah.
Good to see you, sir.
And you guys as well.
What's new with you?
Oh man, so much new. Obviously we're going to talk about it tonight. I spoke with Wolf a week ago, a week ago Monday, and banged out the article for Guitar World. Had a great conversation. An hour of meat on the bone, so in depth. But that and just all the Van Halen stuff going on this week, Ed's spirit is alive and well. So much going on. It's just it's just like every time you think it's slowing down, it's pops back in and speeds right back up again. So
Exactly right. Everything kind of slowed down. We getting ready to do this show and everything in place. And yesterday in my inbox, there's all kind of stuff and hurry up and watch while you can before it gets taken down and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's that boy, what a mind blower,
Yeah.
So
What's your take on that with the Templeman's sessions?
well, yeah, obviously the Templeman stuff, the all the outtakes, up to and through 1984. It's we've heard about this stuff and we've heard some of it, but not in this quality. And I just hope it doesn't affect any future plans by being out there, because this is the stuff we've been pining for years, and we know it's out there, and they know it's out there, and why they haven't released it for public consumption yet. We've got our wallets out, we've got our credit cards ready to pay at the 800 number and call and put it down, because it's everything we thought it was and then some, and yes, there's some warts parts, and yes, it's a little bit of the peek behind the curtain at the Wizard of Oz, but that's what's so fascinating about it. You can hear songs coming together, the Dance the Night Away stuff, to hear that go from these little parts that got abandoned, parts that became more prominent and everything like that, and how it worked through. And wow, it's a glimpse into the creative working process of, America's greatest band, basically.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Wow.
And it's something that the fans deserve to hear. And I really hope the powers that be just take this as a wake up call that we're hungry for it and we want it, and we'll pay for it and we'll make it worth your while,
Yeah.
I think even if you download this stuff, buy it. Just, I'm sure hopefully they'll put together a nice package and everything with pictures we haven't seen and who knows what. But this just goes to show you, it's like, I want to believe it's out there, something's out there, and I want to believe, man. So
Yeah.
and, it's for the hardcore fans, but that's who we are, and there's a lot of us out there.
Proof, Chris, you guys, this is the proof that there's stuff out there.
Yeah, I know, definitely. And we've heard about it. We've heard talk about it, and Ed's talked about it even, some of the stuff, I know some of the stuff goes back about 20 years when it was a project, a proposed box set that was going to be done. We know it's from that. And, he had spoken about After Different Kind of Truth. He told me during the interview we did about Tokyo Dome, basically about he had all these plans that basically they went through before they decided to do Tokyo Dome. It was basically they're going to do live club material, but the tapes they had they couldn't do any magic on them. They just weren't sounding good. They went through the work. I trying to remember Ed's iteration. I think he told me that they didn't have the tapes of the Warner Brothers demos, but obviously they're out there. Mm-hmm. But I think that they might have actually worked on this. And I think just knowing Ed, that he just said, nah, it's just still, this isn't the way I want to present the band, Right. And then the idea became to do what he called the Best of the Bees, which is really the more of the deep cuts, which reflected what they did in the 2015 tour. A lot of the material, they popped out some songs they hadn't played for years, if at all, on that tour. But then they just decided, let's do a live album, So I think some of that stuff, the Templeman stuff in particular, the Warner Brothers demo stuff, I believe, I may be mistaken. It may go back earlier. But I think that might have been part of that process, because you can hear some of the stuff that's remixed, all of us fans out there have, the bootlegs of the Warner Brothers demos at some point, but they're crappy. They probably came from a cassette that had been copied. They made a cassette of the demos that got passed around Warner Brothers, ended up in somebody's hand. It got copied and copied and copied and copied and copied, and then finally put out on the CD. But there's stuff here you can hear differences, and they're not. I don't think they're all. There are some alternate versions, which is amazing unto itself, because considering how quickly they did those demos, the fact that they even have alternate versions of any of that stuff, considering what was 25 songs that they cranked out over a 2-day period. The fact that there's alternate versions is amazing.
It's crazy.
But you can hear differences, and it's fascinating. I mean, it's just for the diehard fans out there that we can just look at this and go like, wow, and again, just to hear how this band came together and became what they were, I think that stuff is just the most fascinating stuff of all. So, and then some of the stuff of Ed's guitar playing, oh my gosh, to hear these, after the song's done, the secrets where he goes off on a jazz odyssey, amazing. Oh, wow. Just to hear that, to hear a different side of his personality come out. I mean, exactly. That's like the Brian May thing. The Brian May thing was similar to that. The Brian May thing is like, you hear stuff, it's like, is that Ed? It's like, wow, I've never heard him play like that before, but it's him. And that's again, the Brian May thing, I think, is proof that people want this stuff, they'll pay good money for it. I mean, all I wanted was the complete studio sessions disc out of the Brian May set. That's really what I wanted, was that disc. And, you have a good, more than an hour of brand new, unheard Eddie Van Halen, that we've never heard before. Wow.
So Chris, you think this is going away in a hurry?
I think that the lid will be nailed back down pretty hard and heavy. I don't know. I would guess. I mean, I can't really say for sure. I don't know what exactly the inner workings are over there, but I think they're probably a little bit upset about it, because I think if there were plans, and I've got my fingers crossed that there are, that this kind of sets things back a little bit and might cause a little bit of re-examination. Right. If not, I'm hoping that maybe this lights a fire, and gets them to get to work on this stuff, and showing that, man, people are dying for this stuff.
Well, it's out there, so people are going to have it. They're going to download it, and
that's just the nature of the beast these days. I mean, that's it's hard to put a lid on stuff, so it's hard to control it. And they've had so much control over everything, and again, it's I just hope they view this in a very, I know it's not a happy situation, because it's stuff that for whatever reason they want to be in control of that kind of thing. But I hope they just decide that let's move on to this, please. Let's move on it, So let's put together that box set, and get this stuff out there. That would be nice.
Right.
So
yeah. Well, I guess that kind of, you said the box set. So the word from the Van Halen store is that the box set of the Hagar era remasters has shipped. So
yep. Jeff and the crew have been frantically packing boxes, sending stuff out. The postman's, very happy. I don't know, UPS, FedEx, whatever they're using to ship that stuff out, but I know I'm getting mine tomorrow. So from the Rhino folks, they're sending it over. So I'm looking forward to it. I have my tracking number and I can see it's going to be here. It's just like it's in Pennsylvania right now or something. So
Yep.
Very close.
Those guys are happy to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an exciting week. We've got that, coming up. Time to celebrate Ed. We always celebrate Ed, but third anniversary of his passing, it's time to look back at happy thoughts about the guy and celebrate him. Wolfgang, just saw on his Instagram, Foo Fighters. I know he's doing 3 stadium shows with the Foos in July and August. So including
cool.
City Field, so which is really going to be really cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Nice.
So, and of course the headline tour, I'm just waiting for them to announce the second, leg of headlining shows too. So that's going to be, filling in a lot of holes there. I mean, we've got a hole there, obviously we've got the Metallica shows that he's still doing that are continuing into next year. He's got these Foos things going on, but he's got his headline tour to do,
Yeah,
the first part of the year.
It is right there.
Yeah. Up through December 9th, but, there's going to be stuff after that. So it's, God, the guy's so busy.
We're praying he adds something to the Carolinas. We really are.
I've told him, it's out of his control. I mean,
that's why we love you, Chris.
Yeah, I told him. I said, I know a lot of fans in Carolinas who are just itching, for you to come back.
Yeah, man.
So.
Absolutely. He'll be back in good time, I'm sure. Yeah, absolutely. So exciting. The remasters will be here. We'll be talking about it right here. My thoughts on the whole thing are not the extra albums so much as how the remasters are going to sound in comparison to the originals, particularly OU812, Chris.
Oh yeah. And that's the thing too. A lot of people thought that we'd never see this day, seeing the remastered Sammy material, and here it is. Boom, and what, it was 1-2 punch, we got right here, right now, and then this, boom, So, and that's been in the course of about a year. So that's, they're showing that someone's listening, they are listening now. It's those, these other things, the gems, the fly on the wall stuff. And I know there's unreleased tracks out there too. There's other stuff, out there that, despite what some people have said, there are finished songs out there, that we haven't heard, and some that we have heard, but again, not in, cinerama surround sound, that experience. So.
Right. Chris, we're gonna get to our next little current event, but we're gonna go to the chat. Let's open up the chat before we do. And this next current event is probably going to be the most important of them all. But yeah, let me open up the chat. I never look ahead of time to see who's here. So let's see. All right, let's start at the bottom as we normally do. OU812, Ryan, how you doing, dude?
What's up, Ryan?
Right on, brother.
Good to see you. You can catch OU812's YouTube link down below. They do Van Halen show Sunday and Thursday. The guitar tone is incredible. Go check them out. You'll see us in the chat. Good to see you, Ryan. Andy Carson in the
Right
house.
on,
What's
Andy.
up, dude?
You rock, Andy.
Hey, Andy.
There's Patty
Right on.
Deal. What's up, Patty?
Hi, Patty.
Good to see Patty. I'm going to roll up, and there is R2, R3 Locking Nut, our Van Halen bro. And
Right on,
good
R2.
to see you,
What's up?
man. He is part of the OU crew, is how you say it. Sorry, guys. The OU crew. That's what it's called now. Yeah. There's John DeShane in the house. He's part
Right
of
on, John.
Yeah, what's up,
OU
John?
crew. Yeah. Ryan Hall. What's up, Ryan? Good to see you, buddy.
Hey, Ryan.
Good to see you, Ryan.
Always
Right there,
good
bro.
to see you. Lawnmower Tapes. Nice to
Lawnmower,
see
you
you.
rock, brother.
Hey, what's up, man?
I don't need to cut my grass. Every time I see you, bro, I think, oh dear Lord, it's time to cut the grass again. Yeah. All right. I'm scrolling up. If you're just joining, say hello in the chat. It's Tuesday. This is HALENVILLE Live. We're joined by rock journalist Chris Gill tonight. Always good to see Chris. Yeah. So there's Joe. Right on,
Yeah.
Joe.
Right on,
Kirby.
Joe.
Good to see
you,
man.
bro.
What's up, Joe?
Nice.
Guitar Man 45 is in there.
Yeah, there's Guitar Man 45 snuck
Right on,
in,
Bill.
underneath
there, Bill.
the.
What's up, man?
Yeah, right on, bro.
Right on, brother. Right on, man.
Yeah. So Chris, you interviewed Wolf earlier in the week. I'm sure it was always nice to see him. There you go.
Oh yeah.
Nice
Oh,
picture.
nice. Great picture.
Very
That's a
nice.
great photo.
Yeah. Before we jump all into your visit and interview, and by the way, we have some audio from earlier in the week that Chris has privileged us with that we're
Very
going to
cool.
listen
Very
to
cool.
at some point. Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. But so we all know, because Wolf announced it on, I think, the Today Show, that he's getting married this month. And I'm sure he'll keep it hush hush because nobody knows, but we'll be on it when he does announce this. We'll be doing a show about it. We'll talk all about it. Yeah. So ahead,
Nice.
Congratulations, Wolf
Very cool.
and Andrea.
Very cool.
Lovely.
That's a beautiful picture.
Lovely,
right there.
lovely.
Yeah.
Wedding bells. Yeah.
Been a long time coming. He's been with her, 2015, so 8 years.
Wow.
Put it off quite a while.
They are a cute couple.
Yeah.
They are a cute couple. Let's show that one more. That's nice. Yeah.
Look how happy he looks, man.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Very cool. They both look so happy there. That's great.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So congratulations, Wolf and Andrea. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We look forward to the news when it does. Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah. So Chris, how did the interview and the day go? It's got to be grand heading up there each time you see them.
Yeah, it was a little frantic, Wolf is just so darn busy and everything. The good thing is that the time got extended. I got a little bit more time out of him because it just was going well. But the idea was just to kind of preface everything, we didn't have a Guitar World article like right when the album got released, or 2 months ago. And there's a number of reasons behind that, but we decided to take a little bit different approach than just like, here's the story of the new album. I mean, it is the story of the new album, but it's more nuts and bolts. It's Guitar Geek all the way. It's the making of, the album. So it's not just a, oh, you got a new album out, you got this song, blah, 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 whatever. It's really like, we really dug deep into how the thing came together, the songwriting process, just going beginning to end, basically. It's just amazing. I was just looking at his Instagram today because I know, we can't go, I only had a limited amount of space. So I can go into the exact details of how quickly Wolf did this. So we just kind of explained it as about a 6-month process. It started in late September, mixed it in February of this year, 6 months basically. But it really was a lot less than that, because Wolf basically had the month of October. Then he was back off on the Pawns and Kings tour, and he came back and finished up a little bit. And then I saw that picture that you saw that was taken at the Wellmont Theater in New Jersey, in Montclair, New Jersey, end of January this year. And it's like, we're mixing, I'm like, what?
Wow.
It's like, holy crap, you finished everything. And there's some great stories that he told about just like how some fat parts just came together like that, and that's the amazing thing to me. And I don't know if that's in this excerpt or not, but it's just like, this is the kind of record that he put, the record, you guys have lived it for 2 months, how it is. This is the kind of record, the level of production on this thing, the density of the tracks, all the variation and everything. This is the kind of record that takes a lot of bands well over a year to put together. And he did this thing faster than most people do demos, and by himself. He wasn't there playing it live. He was doing everything one at a time.
A lot of
Just
layers
amazing.
there too. A
lot
lot of
of
layers, a
layers.
lot of vocal layers, a few guitar. Yeah, a lot of layers.
The harmonies are deep. The guitar tracks are deep. It's just like, wow, there's so much going on here. And it's so well produced, and it came together so quickly. Wow,
What impresses me, Chris, is I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But what impresses me so much is he does this for himself. He does it all by himself, and then he hands it to his band.
That's crazy.
And then they reproduce it live.
Yeah.
That was one of the things, seeing them live, that I was so impressed with. They don't sound exactly like the studio track. They are better than the studio track. They complement it, but you can hear it's the same. It's amazing. It's utterly amazing to me.
I think that was the most amazing thing to me too. There's so many amazing things that I got out of the interview, but the fact that he doesn't think about the band when he's making the record. It's just like, I'm in the studio. I'm just going to do whatever the song needs and what I want to do. And then it's up to the band. There's a great story that he talks about some vocal parts, and it's like, John, sorry, like some of the harmony parts are so high and everything like that. It's like, I'm sorry, John,
Yeah. Let me ask you, Chris, we did a show last week. How much does Elvis have in the creative process of everything?
A ton.
Seems like a lot.
It's a ton. It's really, that's the thing. It's like, it's, even though, Wolf plays all the instruments and everything like that, but, and this is, I don't want to give away too much, but Wolf does say part of the thing that kind of ate him up a bit was that, he feels bad that, I tell people that I do all this stuff myself, and then people use that as a thing to criticize. Oh, there's no give and take. There's no tension between players. There's none of this. There's none of that, and it's a crutch that people fall on, because it's like, I'm sorry, but it sounds like a band, and Elvis is a big part of why it sounds like a band, because Elvis is like the other band member. Elvis is the give and take. Elvis is the tension. Elvis is the guy that's either pushing him, to dig deeper, or to try something different, or to tell him when something sucks, or tell him when something's great, so it's not like he's sitting there all by himself, with the studio and his headphones on going, oh, whatever. Elvis is part of that process. He is that give and take, there is that drama and that human, interaction dynamic. It's not a traditional band type of dynamic, but it's a dynamic. It's a producer artist dynamic. And that's every bit as valid as, having a bunch of band members. I mean, I don't want to put down any other musicians or anything like that, but a lot of musicians in some bands are just like, hey, you play this, and they sit there and they dutifully do that, and
right.
And sometimes they're not inspired, and I think every single element on Wolfgang's records is inspired because it's Wolf, and he's putting his all into it, and he's talented at everything. He's a talented bass player, talented drummer, talented guitar player, talented keyboard player, talented singer, talented harmony singer, goes on and on, and he puts as much effort into every single one of those elements as he does into his guitars or his drums or whatever that we consider that he's, most focused on.
Do you think his bandmates care about the creative process, really? I mean, they're not part of it, really, until it's brought to them. And then they have to, I'm sure there's some creativity in playing it live. They don't just play it note for note. And
sure. Oh, yeah, no, definitely. They've got a lot of leeway to do things. He's not very dictatorial in that aspect of it. So I think they have their other outlets, for that kind of thing.
Okay.
Obviously. And so it's not like they're really dependent upon it, but they all get along very well. They have a great chemistry. So I think it doesn't matter to them. I think they're kind of very happy to be there to help out, Wolfgang bring this stuff to the stage. That's their role. And they're completely happy with that. And they also appreciate what he does, on his own. And that's how he works, and that's what works for him. So I think they really appreciate that and support that. And they don't let their egos get in the way and say like, oh, I wish I was, doing whatever.
Right.
On that. Right. So.
Well, I think that there's another creative process that goes into his band and them deciding how these songs with all their layers should sound live.
Yeah. So yeah, and they work out how that's going to be, and that's and you look at their setups and their rigs and everything like that, and how that complements, and it complements what Wolf's doing. Although I have to say that's the other thing that's crazy is just like there's so many guitar sounds and textures on there, and yet there's so few guitars. As far as different instruments on the album. He basically had a handful of things. He basically used one particular SA-126. For probably 95% of the record. So let me see if I can get it up here. It's this one, Sunburst one, so that's the one that that was the bulk of the sounds that you hear on the album are that SA-126.
Wow.
And so it's fascinating. He used one of these little guys. That's the amp that he used, except for on Take a Bow where he used his dad's Marshall. And that rig. Used the number one classic Marshall. Used one of the old 4x12 cabinets from the club days, and a Variac, and the Frankenstein. And banged out the solo. Didn't bang it out. Actually, took him a while to do it. He said he kind of progressed as it went along and everything, but. That's, it's really the SA-126 and it's what he uses on stage, and then the other guys can, to kind of capture some of those other tones and everything. That's, they use other instruments and everything like that. But it's really, I just was so surprised that it was like, gosh, you used such little stuff, but there's so many different sounds. And some of it, he was talking about the effects and everything. And it's just like Elvis was throwing so much stuff at him that he couldn't keep track of it, because Elvis just had his own little trick bag and his own little toys and stuff like that. So I'm hoping to do a follow-up with Elvis actually and see if he can remember what's behind some of these other, some of the ear candy that's going on there. Keith, you asked a question about the baritone bass, and I did want to bring that up, and it will be in the full interview. Actually not the one in the Guitar World, but I'm going to be putting up the full audio about the time probably about a week or two after the magazine comes out, I'm going to put up the full audio so everyone can hear, because it's basically the limited amount of space in the magazine and the length of the conversation we had. And we covered a lot of ground in an hour. So we probably got 30% of the whole conversation into the print piece. But there was this guy here, the blonde guitar there next to the 5150. It's a Viet Citron baritone. That was Ed's. And that's actually a picture from 5150 back in the day. Wolf had put this up on his Instagram and showing that, you know, he mentioned that he'd used it on the record. That track didn't make it on the record.
Wow.
So, yeah, but he said there's about 4 songs that he did that will probably be on the next album. And he's already looking at the next album.
He's already got them banged out.
Already,
right on.
You know, but yeah, it was cool because that had been a guitar that had bothered me for a long time. You know, me and Alan Garber were like both going back and forth. What the hell is that? What the hell is that? And I actually had was going through some of Larry DiMarzio's photos that he put up in tribute to Ed, and there was like this photo there that he took about 1990 at 5150. This is like a blow up detail on actually a big wide picture of all these guitars and everything like that. And it was high resolution enough that I could make out the logo on the headstock, and that set me on the path. And then I figured out it's a Viet baritone, you know, Viet Citron Shark baritone. They only made about a dozen to 15 of them. So very rare, you know, and now it's been trying to figure out what songs did Ed use that on, because as I know about Ed, whenever he gets something new, he uses it. He writes a song with it. He records with it. We can look back to the MXR flanger on the first Van Halen album, you know, and the demos, the Ted Templeman demos, the Warner Brothers demos that they did in April, I guess it was April, they did of 78. Mm-hmm. You don't hear any flanger, you know. And then, of course, there's the songs that they wrote in the clubs. They wrote Ain't Talking About Love, Atomic Punk, and Jamie's Crying, you know, were the 3 songs that appeared on the album that they had written in between doing those demos. And they all have flanger on them because Ed got a new flanger, you know. So it's like, cool, I'm going to, you know, I wrote these songs. I'm going to use my new effect on these songs that I wrote. You know, that's how Ed was. So we just have to figure out what on 1984 and, you know, 5150 that where he used this. Is it on the Wildlife soundtrack stuff? Who knows? You know,
hey, Ronald, welcome.
Got to dig in and find out. But that was interesting because it's like I was foaming at the mouth to find out that exact detail, and it's like, oh man, you didn't put that song on the record, you know. But cool, we have something to look forward to the next one. So that's really cool.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Right on.
Is Wolf happy with the new album, Chris?
Oh, completely.
He is totally.
Oh, he's stoked about it. I mean, it's just, you know, yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, he's just looking forward to these headlining sets. He said expect to hear most, if not all, of the new tracks. And he did mention that he's if you're in an area where the shows are close by, he'll be doing alternating sets. In fact, he kind of plans on doing some alternating sets. He said it may be a middle segment that may change. It may just be an entirely different set each night. But he said basically, if you go to 2 consecutive shows when the shows are nearby, that you're going to hear the whole album essentially.
Oh, nice.
So
this tour,
excellent.
This is the guitar playing. The solos on this record really are going to showcase how good he really is, and I can't wait to go out and see him live, because
not only just the guitar solos are awesome, and it's great to hear so many solos on this record, you know, to hear him embracing that and doing more of that on this record, but his vocals, his singing, you know, it's gone up several notches. You know, it's gone up quite a bit. You know, I think from being on the road and doing these live shows has just really seasoned him as a vocalist. His range is much further now. You know, and some of that stuff that he's doing is just in the emotion and the energy that he gets out of it too. Oh my God, you know. So I think that's two great feathers in his cap, because it's just like that's two focal points of music. People listen to vocals and guitar solos, and he's got those both just nailed. And
yes,
just
he does.
to know that he can go further, that's even more amazing about it. It's just he's just getting going. So that's what's so fascinating about it. I want to hear what he does next time, or I don't know if it's going to be next time because he's just such a road dog right now. He's out relentlessly. I don't know what the next album if he's going to have. I want to hear what he can do when he has 6 months, 8 months, a year to put a record together. I bet that's going to be mind blowing. I could just see him just doing some really intense vocal harmony stuff and guitar work, whatever. I mean, just to consider that what he put out here was really like about a month and a half of really true creative tracking, recording tracks and putting everything together, the bits and pieces and everything. It really was just a period of a month and a half, maybe 2 months. But it's just phenomenal to think that he just really got, all these layers and this production and everything is just like, wow, it's just brilliant. So it's exciting.
Right on.
Standing.
So on your trip there, you were able to see Matt as well, Chris?
Well, actually I didn't, this time I had to do a Zoom call with him. So I did see Matt in mid-August. So we had lunch and everything. I was supposed to go to 5150 like I've tempted you guys with. Unfortunately, somebody was working there and it was off limits. So we got together and had lunch, down in the valley and everything, and had a good long talk and everything, good reminiscing and getting back together, that kind of thing. So I was bummed because it's like I wanted to see stuff. And when we talked about that in the interview, we talked a lot about what he's done at 5150, and what he's done and what he hasn't done up there. So it's kind of a combination of things.
So that article is due out in November. Is that right?
Mid-November. Yeah. It's the holiday
is
issue.
The last one.
Yeah. And what is that issue? What does it say on the spine there? I think that was that holiday 2022.
Oh Lord.
Us old guys
say on the spine. Doesn't. Oh dear Lord.
Need our spectacles.
Probably on the cover. I don't see it.
Okay, I guess they don't put that stuff on there anymore. It's just like whatever. It's gotten so weird in the industry. But I think that was the holiday 2022, the year-end issue and everything. And this is going to be the holiday 2023 issue. They basically do 13 issues a year. They do January through December and then a 13th holiday issue. So that's basically an issue every 4 weeks.
Right.
But yeah, it's basically, it was funny because when I did that interview, we talked already about, and we knew the album was coming out. And it's like, I already talked with Damien Finelli, the editor-in-chief, and just saying, Wolfgang's going to have 2 covers this year. And we just made it, basically within a year period, we just made it. So, we talked about that, and it's like, I'm glad we did it. We got it in just under the wire. We just slipped it in, and it was crazy because part of it was, our schedules just didn't mesh. I talked with you guys at length about my trip to Japan in July, and that would have been the perfect time to talk with Wolf, but I wasn't around. He was off and I was off, on the other side of the world, so we didn't get to do it then, but we just, we did it here now and during this other break that he's just had, this most recent break that he's enjoying right now, the longer break. So it was, it worked out for the best. I mean, we kind of avoided all the noise and everything around the release of the album. This kind of standalone a bit. So I'm going to give him a little bit of legs too, because it's like, okay, the album's been out for 2 months now. Let's get some more people to get hyped about it and buy it, and support him. So keep that going on.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah. It's a bit of an old school interview. I mean, I even asked him about picks and strings. I generally don't do that much anymore, but I thought, man, let me do the geek stuff. Let's find out all the minute details and everything. And the great thing about him is, like, usually you ask people that kind of question, you get like a real short answer. I use 10 through 46s and medium gauge picks or something like that, and that's it.
Right.
He had stories for both. For
we
both
like
elements.
The pick stories around here.
Yeah, he had a great pick story, And he had an interesting string story. Unfortunately, Matt Bruck came back later and says like, oh, well, Wolf kind of got some details wrong. And actually the story Wolf tells is great. And the real story is kind of not quite as exciting, but it's just, but it was just fascinating. It was just like, wow, it's like, just, again, he has some details. I mean, he's a great articulate guy. He can really tell you about everything. And I think it's a big difference from when I first interviewed him way back when he was a teenage kid with his dad, to see how he's developed and everything like that. And even when I did the interview with him for A Different Kind of Truth, he's just come such a long way with expressing himself and, and being to explain his process and what he does, and everything like that. It's been great to kind of be on this journey with him and to view him, going through that.
It's outstanding.
Nice.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Chris, we have audio of the interview a little bit, a number of minutes. Can we bring this up?
Yeah, let's bring it up. I'll set it up a little bit. I mean, this is the first 10 minutes, plain and simple.
Okay.
Unedited.
Wow.
First 10 minutes the first 10 minutes of it, you guys will be able to hear the remaining 50 minutes of it in about a month, in a week, month and 2 weeks, a month and a half on my YouTube page.
Yeah.
I'm going to put the whole thing up there so you can hear the whole thing.
Before we bring this audio up, Chris has a YouTube page and a lot of his interviews are on there. The link to that is down below. You'll find it amongst the others. Subscribe to Chris. He'll be uploading more interviews there. Yeah, it looks good. It's a bunch of stuff over there already, Chris.
Yeah, I put a few things up. I haven't, it takes time to do it because I don't want to do just the usual thing. I really want to, I edit my stuff and try to put some production. It's not the best. I'm not like a Final Cut Pro expert, but I'm learning. But my Tokyo guitar shop travel stuff will be up there. There's already the Fender flagship store 5-minute videos up there. I did kind of a spoof of a Wes Anderson kind of graphics, not musically, but and that's part of the challenge too, is trying to get, with the YouTube copyright thing. I just threw up an old song I did actually back in 2003 on there and added some new tracks to it. And but it's really hard to have like music or something to keep it from being just flat, and everything like that. So that's part of the process too. But I'm going to have about another 3 or 4 Tokyo guitar videos coming up there. One day there'll be more of my Ed Van Halen stuff up there. I'm not going to give it all away, but I'm going to pull bits and pieces out over time and dig up with some other guitar players too. I've got a crazy interview with Link Ray I did back in probably 93, 94. That's just absolutely bonkers, nuts, insane. And I wanted to show that to the world, even if only 10 people see it. It's got to be out there because it's just crazy. But I've got, a lot of tapes in my vault and everything and stuff to go through, my Jeff Beck interviews, it goes on and on. I forgot there's one point I kept a tally and I lost count around 1,000 artists that I'd interviewed over all the years.
Wow.
So,
wow.
That's crazy, Chris. My God, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wow. Subscribe.
Johnny Cash.
Links are down below.
And just as a little side note, any thoughts of any new book beyond Eruption right now? Have you got anything in the work maybe with Brad?
Yeah, Brad and I are working. We're pitching something right now. In fact, I've got to get my nose to the grindstone because I've got a chapter to write for a pitch that we're doing. I will say this, especially on, the 3rd anniversary of Ed's passing and about the 2nd anniversary of the book coming out. The book is just not stopped. Thank you, people. People are still buying it. It's still on the Amazon top 100 rock books. Constantly. It goes in and out, every now and then it will dive down to like ranking number, like their sales ranking will be like down to like 200,000 or something like that. But that's like for a blip. Then it comes right back up to like 60, 30, 40,000, 20 some thousand. We just had a big boost here a couple of weeks ago. Howard Stern. It kills me because we had sent Howard a pre-release advance of the book, had it delivered to him and everything. And he didn't read it. And I met Steve Nowicki last November at the Eddie Van Halen Fest.
Yep.
Up there in Greenwich, and I know that Steve's a big fan and everything. We talked about it, but then just out of the blue, all of a sudden, all these people are like banging me up. Howard Stern's talking about you on the radio, and he's talking about the book for a long time, like a half hour. And I'm like, what? It's like, and I talked with Steve, and Steve said, yeah, just he went on vacation and he got the audiobook actually. And I thought, oh, that's it. We got to send him the audiobook.
It's gold. I swear to God, it is.
Yeah, but it's like, but it was great because we just got a big boost, from that. So it's that gives us hope for this next book that we're working on, that we're trying to pitch, because the fact that it's been a perennial success. It's been there constantly for 2 years, and it's like our book came out at the same time as Nikki Sixx's what was the first 17, or I forget what it was called, something like that. Yeah. And Miami Steve Van Zant's autobiography, the same publisher as us, and we were kind of bookended in between those two. And those books have fallen by the wayside, and we're still up there. And I can tell you that we didn't get paid anywhere near what Steve Van Zant or Nikki Sixx got paid for their books. So the book publisher's got to be very happy with us.
Chris, I'm gonna say something here, and the chat will know this is absolutely true. And your version of Eddie's life, what we read from you, we know it's factual. We know it's stood the test of time, quite literally. So your fans, we're timeless, man. If we're alive, we're fans. That's the way we see it, because we know we're getting the truth and the facts. Okay. And a lot of, and I'm not meaning to diss Nikki here, but I'm familiar with the book you're talking about, and it's a little wishy-washy. I don't mean to say it that way. I love you, Nikki. I swear to God. But at the same time, it's not as, God, what's the word I'm looking for? You guys help me out here. It's not as, I don't want to say factual. It's not as solid as you guys.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because there's still things I discover, I mean, thanks to people like all of you, the community out there, people were digging thanks to these songs that came out, it just came to light. New revelations come out. I mean, there's little things I would change in the book, and in future editions. Just little details. You find things out. You find like, oh, I wasn't 100% right about that. Yeah. It's like, I mean, I think I was just looking at the passage about the Ted Templeman demos, they did when they just right after, Van Halen signed to Warner Brothers, and they got him in the studio and they banged out 25 songs. And I think I just made some quick comment, like they were almost all first takes. And it's like, well, gosh, they actually weren't all first takes. There's a lot more alternate takes on those demos, on those 25 demos. It's like, holy crap, how did they do that in that short amount of time? I don't know, man. They were just like insane. And even like the amount of time that took the first album.
They kept the tape rolling in between. They needed a minute to iron out a piece or whatever. And
then they just went back in and said, no, we're going to do this. We're going to do this better or whatever. And, and especially with the first album stuff, we hear that too. There's a lot more stuff.
You think there's only one copy, one version, and all your noodling in between. You forgot all that. You just got your mind on the one, but they kept all the rest of that stuff.
Yeah. And it's just fascinating. So, I mean, it's new revelations, and new stuff's coming out all the time. And, but yeah, we really tried very hard to make sure that there was as much accuracy, just to look up every small detail, just to make sure it was right, or that we went with the most reliable source for what we did, because we knew, I mean, that was our plan. Brad and I, the plan with this book was not for it just to be a quick read, that you could read and throw away, but to be a reference book for people, to be a reference book for classes about Eddie, in 50 years from now, in college.
It will be. It will be.
So
we make reference to it from time to time, chapter and verse. We pull it out of the sky around here, Chris.
Like the Bible.
Yeah, we are approaching the sad day of October the 6th is upcoming. I'm sure all of us, when that day arrives, we think of Eddie. So that day is in just a couple more days, so we remember our fallen king for sure.
Gone too soon. way too soon. I'm getting close to the age that Ed was, and it's like, wow, I just can't imagine. I mean, I had that happen. My brother passed away at 60, and I'm going to be 61 here in a couple of weeks. And it's like, yeah, I outlived him. And I just thinking like, gosh, the time that I spent after his death, I thought I couldn't see myself not experiencing this. Like my trip to Japan. If I had been my brother, I would have been dead already. I wouldn't have had that in my life.
Wow.
And it's just like, gosh, and I just to think about Ed, what we could have had with another 10 years from him, but we've got Wolfgang to fill that void too. So that's a blessing.
Yeah. It's tough. Had Ed been in good health, I mean, obviously there at the end, the guitar playing, his playing was as good as it's ever been.
Which is just phenomenal.
What would have happened to the band had he been in good health?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, what would have happened, And I mean, he was playing. I saw a couple shows on the 2015 tour. I'm sure all of you have too, but his playing was as good as ever. It was better than probably the 07, 08 and even the 2012 tour playing, I think, especially the 07, 08 tour, because there was very many patchy moments on that tour. But 2015 was just like, man, he's on. He is just on. He's not an old man.
Agreed.
By any means. He's still got that energy. Wow. He's still got that precision. He can still play just as fast, if not faster, than he could at his peak in the 70s and 80s. Wow.
His last show, you guys know, his last show was at the Hollywood Bowl.
Yep.
Yeah.
In Hollywood. And he played as well as he had ever played in his life that night. I think he got better and better and better as a guitar player and just kept progressing. He grew out of his sort of childish adolescent attitude at an early age. I always say Val changed him a little bit for the better in many ways. But his guitar playing prowess never stopped progressing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there at the end, it was so effortless and easy and on point. Everything, it was just so easy, and it sounded so wonderful there at the end. Oh shit.
Yeah.
I think they were getting a resurgence too with all those shows that they were on, Jimmy Kimmel and Ellen, and I think they were getting a lot of new fans, and I think that had a lot to do with Wolfie getting them out in the limelight like that. And
and you got to also oh gosh, I can't remember the manager too, though. It doesn't hurt either. Which I'm just getting into that hour now where my brain starts to shut down. but that's also Irving Azoff.
Irving,
I think they could have gone onward and upward. And I know Ed wanted to. When I talked with him, the last formal interview I did with him, he was raring to go do another record.
And I truly think they would have done the kitchen sink tour.
Yeah, well,
I really
that's
do.
the saddest thing. I mean, I mentioned in the book because that's the last time I saw Ed face to face was in 2018. Here in New York City, and saying that we're getting back together with Mike. Mike didn't know. Like I've said before, I knew before Mike knew.
Wow.
But he was saying, and it wasn't going to be the kitchen sink tour. It was just going to be the classic lineup. It was going to be the four guys, and that was the plan. And I still wish to this day Janie had a marketing plan that was just brilliant, to like a teaser that Mike was back. And it was the beginning of Running with the Devil, with the descending car horn thing, and then Mike's bass coming in. And she had some line, which I wish I could remember because it was a very Van Halen-esque related line. It was just like, oh my gosh, this is going to explode, and I wish that would have happened. And then it was, I think, the kitchen sink thing was Wolfgang's doing, just trying to, I think, to cosmic intervention to get his dad to get better, I think was what was really, as much as anything. And also, this is maybe our last chance, so let's just do the kitchen sink thing. This is going to be it,
Right.
And that just didn't happen. But initially it was just going to be the classic four. I mean, I was like, Wolfgang was going to open, and Foo Fighters and Metallica were going to be opening acts. Stadium, the classic four-piece band.
Wow.
Dave, Al, Mike, and Ed. Wow.
the classic
Ed wanted to give the people what they want. Finally, it's like.
That's right. I think that, and I was waiting on somebody to say it, but I think that had Ed been in good health, with that Mike, with Wolf's career would have gone exactly as it has, maybe a little sooner, but Mike's back in the band, and with the amount of time that's gone by now, and you see everyone out there right now, Foreigner and Aerosmith and everyone else, Van Halen may be thinking about doing a farewell tour about now, maybe.
About now,
yeah.
Oh
well, what is and what shall never be, And
I know, guys. Before we listened to that audio, and I'm chomping at the bit too. I'm looking at the clock, and we're parked right on an hour. So you know what that means, don't you? We're gonna cruise into a little nearly impossible Van Halen trivia. All right, so what this is, if you've never played before, we do this every week. We're going to ask you a very hard Van Halen related question. Should you answer it correctly, you have to be the first one in the chat. The first correct answer that we see is the winner. Now, should you win, there's an email address down below, Trivia Winners Email. You're going to email me your name and address. And for tonight, we're going to give away, let me do this. We're going to give away $1 million Van Halen dollars.
Must
for
have
starters.
cash.
You need some cash in the wallet. That's coming. Now, so normally we would reach in here and we would pull you out a
quarter,
a 1971 D quarter, and we have those, and we give those away. But we also, in here, there are a few chips left, and I'm going to grab one. I have like 8 left. Okay.
Wow.
And I haven't given one of these away in a while. I'm going to reach in and grab one. All right.
And every one of them has a different guitar on the back, correct?
That's right. I'll show you the front. I don't want to look at the back myself because I want to be surprised. So I can't look at the back as I show you this. So I'll kind of. All right. So that's the front. And these things are very nice. They're, what are they made of? Let's see. Ceramic. All right.
Yeah, they're pretty beefy.
All right. Let's see what's on the other. Ooh.
Which one?
All right. So they're running low. So this
Okay.
Van Halen chip on the other side is the Snake Dragon.
The snake? Oh.
Yes,
That's
it is.
Cool poker chip.
Hey, I'll be back in a little bit. I'm going into the chat.
All right.
Under an alias, right?
I got the Rasta, though, so I'm happy about that.
Bob will just pop up in there.
Oh, you won the okay.
I won the
on.
Rasta back in the day. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Hey,
Now-
I gotta thank Jimmy Ray for gifting me this one here, you guys. He gifted me the circles.
That's
Oh,
right.
okay.
Circles.
Right on.
Those two go together.
There
Right.
you go. We're giving away the Snake Dragon. All
Oh.
right. Let's find the question. We try to make these super hard. Last week I made it too hard, Chris, and nobody won. So
Wow.
that if after 4 or 5 weeks, if I feel like that I'm making it too easy, then I kind of make it a little harder, and nobody will get it, and so. But nobody got it last week, so
Wow.
that ought to tell you something. All right, kids. First correct answer that we see Ed and Charles have a peek at the chat. Let's find it. That's not it.
That's a rumor. It's just a rumor.
That's not it. Sorry, Charles.
It is trivia.
I freaking love Weezer. They're a great band.
They are a great band. They are a great band. They rock.
Remember that fact. Remember
Yeah,
this night. Remember that moment.
Months down the road, that will be a trivia question.
All right, here we go. I got a good one in store for you. First correct that we see. Yeah. Nearly Impossible Van Halen trivia. Good luck. You need good luck. Because here we go. During the Van Halen backyard party days, this newspaper printed an article, a disturbance or van gathering had traffic backed up for miles, punctuated by thrown projectiles and overturned police cars. You're going to name the newspaper. Don't answer right away. And it needs to be complete.
Motley Crue. Good guess, Keith.
Yeah, good guess.
That's a good guess.
Another good guess.
Good guess, Ryan.
All right. Reread the question now. Got stuff kind of built in.
Nope.
Do you know how many newspapers in America, Joe, are called the Sun, brother?
I've got one in my town right now.
Or the Recorder? A lot.
Yeah. We need the full name, too.
This is straight up Van Halen original lore right here. This is what established them being bad boys, their actual reputation.
I'm actually surprised it's still out there. I just looked it up, but I'm not going to tell anything. But I'm surprised to see that it's still being published.
Oh, wow.
I'm surprised. Wow.
Legendary.
That's amazing, actually.
Yeah, it is amazing.
Yeah. A lot of newspapers are going by the wayside with the internet.
Yeah.
Where are our lurkers at? I know these guys are going to come swooping down. Randy Price, Jay Turner, I know they're coming.
I'm waiting for some full nerd. Yeah, Tony.
Nice to see you, WD 5150.
Right on, WD. Rock, brother. And Jerry Leica. We didn't get a chance to shout out Jerry.
Good to see Jerry. Always good to see Jerry.
College Hoodlums of LA. Excellent, Ryan.
All right, Tommy.
No.
I think you got another stumper here.
Oh, kids, come on now. For fuck's sake. You can do it. Man, I broke out the chip tonight, the snake dragon. We're going to scratch. We're going to draw on a snake dragon chip. Come on, kids.
Then Tom, out. Good to see you, Tommy.
There's Tommy. Better get the shovel out and start digging. Dig. A lot of good answers there. Mm. All righty.
Inquirer.
The National
Oh,
Enquirer.
I see it.
Where is it at?
Jerry Leica.
Got it.
Jerry Leica did it. He got it.
Nice, Jerry. That's how it's done, brother, right there.
Yeah, that's how it is right there. Jerry Leica.
And R2 was right behind him.
He was. Look at that.
Neck and neck.
R2. Right on, bro.
And then there's that. And then that. I'll take that. Lewis, good to see you.
Lewis, right on, bro.
Welcome, man.
Right there.
Yeah, I was mentioning to you guys in the pre-show chat that the San Marino, a lot of people aren't aware of unless you kind of live in that area, is this small kind of subset of Pasadena, and it's the Beverly Hills, the old school Beverly Hills. The old LA pre-Beverly Hills. That was where the old money, the people who built LA, had built their mansions up there during the 1910s and 20s. And so on. I actually thought for years that that's where Dr. Roth and eventually David lived, but I was wrong. But I used to live up there and drive through San Marino all the time. And man, there's just some crazy, crazy mansions out there. So I can only imagine where they had this party.
Chris, you're talking about back in the 70s? Did you used to drive it back in the 70s?
Well, San Marino, I actually lived in that. I lived in Alhambra during the late 80s. Actually.
I got you.
And I used to, go up to Pasadena all the time, go up usually through South Pasadena, up into Pasadena, but sometimes you go, a little bit over, and that's where San Marino cuts up into Pasadena. And that's
back,
really
back in the early 70s. So I was born in 61. I used to go on
that's you, Jerry.
Saturday mornings every couple of months. My parents would throw me in the back seat of a car and they'd take a morning trip out into LA. We'd pick a direction and go there. And some of my favorite memories as a boy are from that era and that area. It was gorgeous in those days. It was not as sparsely populated as it is now. It's ridiculous now.
Yeah.
But it's just beautiful. Beautiful.
Is it beautiful old mansions out there, just the old school wealth, where it was all the grand stuff, what's that? That big, the Huntington or something, I think that's out there. The hotel, those grounds and everything, that's kind of in that area there too. It's not it's in Pasadena proper, but is that
still there?
Oh yeah, it's still there. Definitely. Yeah. Just, but it's just, that's the old LA money,
Wow.
San Marino. Wow. Jerry Leica, email me your stats, bro, and I'll mail you out that chip and that $1 million Van Halen bucks, and I'll include some guitar picks, some new stuff. You probably don't have the latest Charles Green pick or latest Ed DeBrill pick. We'll make sure those are in there too, Jerry. Way to go, bro. You nailed it tonight on the chip night. We'll do one more, maybe not every week, but we'll do one soon. Another one. I got a few left. Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, that
excellent,
that
Jerry.
Too long.
You're right, bro.
Yeah, right on. I was worried there for a minute that we lost Chris. I was worried there for a minute that we weren't going to have another. It was going to be another week. Two in a row where nobody got it. Like nearly impossible. Come on, T.
I personally don't like it when nobody wins. I like it when they win every time.
Yeah.
I know you don't like it that way all the time, Tony, but
no, I do. I do. There's Mikey Mojo in the house.
Hey, Mikey.
What's up, dude?
Bro, right there, dude.
I think tonight's question was perfect because it took them a while to get it. It wasn't like a slam dunk. It wasn't, but it wasn't one that was unreachable either. It just took a little
old
while.
School, right, Ed? Old school. We're talking from like 74, 75?
Yeah, 74. You got to dive deep.
Right.
And the only reason I knew about it was I remember reading it in Greg's book, Renoff. He was talking about a party in Pasadena that had a lot of attention. And they mentioned not long before that, the San Marino one where, quote the sheriff, he said something like, those fuckers, they turned over cars and stuff like that. But
yeah. So that particular show, though, I think it's let me get back at that particular show. Ed and Al remember that show years later. Amongst all the overturned cars plus overturned police cars.
That's right.
There was a group of people took the handcuffs from a policeman and handcuffed him around a tree with his own handcuffs. Yeah.
That's all a good fun. Come on.
Only at a Van Halen show, right, Charles? All roads, baby.
That's exactly the story.
That sounds like a Police Academy movie or something.
Even when you're in jail, all roads. Even while you're en route downtown, all roads.
How embarrassing is that, though, to be handcuffed around a tree with your own cuffs? Oh, man.
And, at least you weren't handcuffed around a tree and they yanked his pants down. That'd be me. Chris had to reboot. He'll be right back.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. But we'll wait on him before we crank up this audio. Yeah. I'll keep an eye and see if everything's smooth with him. Let's see. All right. Yeah. No, he'll be right back.
Christopher Corona, not Zima.
So there's Randy Price. What's up, Randy?
Hey, Randy.
Yeah.
Right
dude.
on, Randy. You rock, man.
Nice to see you yesterday. With the OU crew, Randy. Yeah, bro.
That's right. He played on this show.
Yeah, man.
I missed that.
Nice
I gotta
see
watch
you, Randy.
it.
I sent him a text. I saw that and I sent him a text immediately and said, bro, when I get home tonight, I said, I'm checking it out. I'm sorry I missed it.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry I missed it, man. He's a rocker, dude.
I'll be right back.
Randy's a rocker, you guys.
So go check out, Mr. Chris Gill's YouTube page out. Dimebag's last interview. Yeah,
I've been subscribed to his channel for a while now, and I hit all on the, the bell with the hit, give me all. I haven't gotten any notifications from his channel to my channel.
Huh.
Well, I don't know why. So I just went back on there and I checked to make sure I had the bell lit up, and I do. So I don't know, but I'm going to have to keep an eye out.
I get them like that some on some. Yeah. I don't know why. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, needless to say, anything he posts, I want to see just like everybody else. So anyway,
Yeah. Right. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So while we're waiting on Chris, I don't want to bring this audio up if he'll be right back. Yeah. So next week on the show, we are going to be talking all about, and it should be, if you don't have it already, I wouldn't be surprised. Has anybody got theirs yet in the mail because I have not, but they've all been shipped. But next week, right here, we're talking about these remasters and how they sound. Yeah.
Bright lights.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know Mike and Sam have already got theirs.
I think I'll have mine Thursday or Friday.
I've
Yeah, me
got
too.
my shipping notification from the Van Halen store, but yeah. So we'll see when it's due here. I expect it any day. It'll surely be here by next Tuesday. So, yep, count on that for next Tuesday. And while we're got this side of life opened up here for next Tuesday, this Saturday we talk guitar picks and rock memorabilia, and sometimes we raise a little hell over here on the channel on the weekend.
Little bit.
We behave on weekdays, though. We always do on weekdays. We're straight-laced guys on weekdays. But on the weekend, here we
Halloween
are.
might be off the charts, though.
It might be. Halloween is on a Tuesday, so expect a full Halloween show here. Van Halen Halloween show. Yeah. So last year and the year before, we did a Halloween show, but for Show Me Your Pick. But this year, it falls on Tuesday, so it'll be a HALENVILLE Halloween. Have you? Yeah. But
I might have to put in for November 1st and not go to work.
So this Saturday, and we'll talk about this again before we bounce, but this Saturday on Show Me Your Pick, we're talking Steven Tyler. We'll show you a bunch of his old vintage cool guitar picks and some cool Aerosmith. Yeah. We're giving away an Aerosmith 2023 Peace Out tour.
A bad boy from
Saturday. Yes.
Boston.
Yeah.
We have a lot to talk about.
Like our
Aerosmith.
cousin Ed from Boston.
That's right.
Cousin Ed.
Cousin from Boston. That's right. Here's Chris back.
Sorry about that, guys.
There he is.
Oh, good.
Don't know what the hell happened.
Right on. No problem. No problem. Yeah, they do here. A couple of shows ago, I lost power. The internet. There was a storm, right, Charles? And
yeah.
And we literally had to just the last however many minutes before my internet, hour later, the last of it is just nothing.
Oh,
it's just gray screen. Yeah.
Wow.
So it happens. So
cool.
Yep.
But yeah, we're right on. So Chris, let's bring up this audio.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's bring up this audio. Let me find it. There it is. All right. Let's go fetch it here.
This is awesome. By the way, I want to be the first to thank you, Chris, for doing this.
Oh, my pleasure.
We are so special to get to hear this.
Yeah. Preview. Fresh preview. So
very cool.
Right.
Is this the first 10 minutes you said of the interview?
Very first 10 minutes of the interview. Yeah.
Excellent.
So it kind of comes to a natural conclusion, but we actually go on for another 50 minutes. So, and like I said, that's going to be online after the print article hits, which I said it's about 30% of the whole thing, but boom, this is the first 10 minutes. And there's a lot of this is not going to be the print article too. So maybe about 25% of this is going to be the print article.
Excellent.
You can see that okay?
Yep.
You can let me know when I begin if you can hear it okay, guys. All right. All right. So enjoy. Here we go.
Where it all starts, songwriting. And tell me a little bit about the background.
You guys can
going
hear
into
that?
This record. I mean, you had quite a bit of time between, when you did the first album and when it came out. Did you use a lot of that downtime to write songs, or was this stuff more recent?
It was a little bit of both, I think as a songwriter, you're kind of always songwriting. You're always just kind of doing it. I'm never like the inspiration just kind of hits you when it feels like it rather than you trying to force it.
Cool. Yeah.
I always just kind of have a list of ideas that it's like, oh, if I want to work more on this, I will, or here's a newer one. And there were a handful of ideas that I had already bookmarked since the completion of the last album of like, yeah, I can't wait to work on these. And then, it's like when you start to work on new ideas, then you get more excited, and then you come up with more ideas, and that just sort of snowballs. But there were two moments specifically. One moment right when the world shut down in March, April of 2020.
Yeah.
Man, I'm home. I'm gonna record, and everything is gonna be great. And that was not true. I made about 4 demos. I think I made the demos for Another Celebration, Better Than You. Let's see what else. Right, and then for one more, I can't remember. And then the world shut down and everything happened, and I lost all creative desire, and then everything else happened in my life later that year.
Yeah.
And then it was on, and then Mammoth begun, and I haven't really stopped since. The only moments here and there, I think one of the largest breaks I've had in the last 3 years was after our co-headline with Dirty Honey, the Young Guns tour. I think I had about a month and a half after that, and during that time I ended up writing like 6 or 7 more ideas, which brought the ideas I had ready for Mammoth 2 to about 12, I think 12 or 14.
Cool.
And from there it was just ready to go. I was excited to get with Elvis and to start pulling the ideas apart and getting up in the studio.
Cool. Excellent. Now, how do your ideas start off? You play all these multiple instruments. Do you start off on drums? Do they start off on guitar, or just in your head?
Usually guitar, and I kind of like to make quick sort of minute-long demos of whatever idea I have, almost like not with any structure. I like to call them like idea showcases, where I just kind of put every variant of the idea I have possibly just back to back, just give 8 bars of each sort of thing.
Right.
And then from there, I get with Elvis, and he's like, yeah, this is good, keep working on that. And it's like, let's explore this. And then from there, I kind of finish everything up, and we get into that. But it's like I like to, with the drums especially, because like they're all just Logic demos, I make sure to keep them as bare and boring as possible, so that when I go into the studio to record, that's when I kind of flare it up and add the personality to the drums, and to allow it to be kind of sort of a spontaneous in the studio writing sort of thing.
Cool. Now, this album, it leans a little bit more towards the harder and heavier sound than the first album. Sort of a focus. There's still a lot of variety there, but was that kind of the outset, or was it kind of just the timing? Just the state of the world. Is that what influenced it, or was just?
Yeah, I think that too, but I think just the desire to do a little something different. I think different is exciting as long as it doesn't stray too much from what has already been established.
Right.
So I think that's sort of my desire, is that it's like, I want to give, a reason to listen to the next album, so it's like, I'm excited to try something new for the third album.
Sure.
It's that was what keeps me going and is exciting in the recording process, to kind of be like, yeah, we haven't done that before. That's cool. What is this going to sound like, sort of thing. And I think that's where you get, the gent-esque breakdown and right, and in like the Tool middle of Optimist.
Oh yeah.
And stuff like that, where it's just like, I love heavy music. I'm sure everybody in the world is so tired of hearing how much I love Meshuggah, but it's true. I love Meshuggah. So it's just, I guess that's just kind of where that inspiration comes out. And it was fun to let that part of music I like out and see how my own songwriting, where that took it. And I guess that's what it is.
And I just have to say one other general comment, the melodicism of your songwriting and everything. I mean, what the cool thing about it, I was listening to it again today, and just came to me. It's like you could rearrange a lot of these songs for other genres, that it doesn't have to necessarily be heavy,
Yeah, I think that's where you get a lot of the criticism from some like staunch sort of, every genre has their sort of gatekeepy, this is how it should be sort of fans. And I think when they hear that my music has melody, sing along sort of melody and choruses, it's very important for me. I think that's where people are like, oh, it's pop, it's not, it's not heavy, it's not real rock and roll or whatever. And it's like, that's what I love about music is I think in this album, I think Right is the perfect example of the music that I like to make, where it's that it can be as heavy as it is, but also it's just as melodic, and they don't override each other. Choruses are very important to me, and I love good melody.
Yeah, no, it's definitely and really strong. I mean, that's the thing. I was just listening to it and going, like, gosh, I could hear this done as a piano and acoustic guitar arrangement, and whatever, it's other stuff, but it's so cool that it's, it could be open to that. That's the thing. There are other artists taking it and doing it, an interpretation.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, a lot of my ideas do stem from just me and an acoustic guitar. So I think that's where that could also come from too. So
cool. And your lyrics, I think the lyrics are really on point here. I see kind of a overriding theme of frustration and hope,
Yeah, I think that's where, if there was a title track, it would certainly be Another Celebration at the End of the World, given just the vibe and also the album cover for one as well. And I think I think a lot of people listened to the first album and thought that I was working through what had been publicly happening in my life at the time, but I finished that in 2018.
Right.
So everything, the world shutting down, me losing dad, and me trying to figure out how to live my life without such an important factor is all coming out on this record. And I think that's where, I think maybe that is where the heaviness steps, where that comes from, and where it's a bit darker as well. But I think you do feel a little bit of that hope kind of mixed in with that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Well, this is moving more into the making of the record, but it seems like you got this done pretty quickly. I mean, you had kind of a lot of time to do your debut album. I mean, we had your dad mentioning it in 2015, and you finished it in 2018, and it came out, much later. And but this time you really just banged it out. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, we only had so much time, and that was, I would like to not do it that way again, but considering that arguably we came out with a better product in a fraction of the time, maybe that is the way to do it. Sort of just hope for that lightning in a bottle sort of vibe. But it did get stressful at points, but we did it. So
amazing accomplishment. I mean, because that's the density of the arrangements, the tracks, when you listen to it, there's so many Easter eggs and there's so much going on. And this is the kind of record I hear that takes a lot of bands well over a year to finish up. And that's with separate members. That's not just one person doing everything.
Thank you. Yeah, I really do. That was just kind of the main thing I wanted to avoid. I was like, as long as it's not a sophomore slump, it needs to be as good or better.
Oh yeah.
That
sophomore slump went on vacation when I heard your records. So like, I give up. I'm done.
Yeah, that was desperately the only thing I wanted to achieve. I just wanted it to be, I wanted the quality to I don't know. I don't think that would have happened either way, because it's just, I'm very OCD and perfectionist with it, where it's like, I don't think I would have released it had I not been proud of it or felt it was good enough.
Cool. Yeah. Well, mission accomplished. He did an awesome job.
Thank you.
All right. There you go.
So we could be going after that. I mean, then we really get into the nuts and bolts stuff, the Gear Geek and all that other stuff, the relationship between, the working relationship between him and Elvis Biscat. Some other tidbits, you guys are going to love this. There's more than just Ed on the record. We talked about Take a Bow and using Ed's rig, the classic rig with the Frankenstein and the old Marshall, the #1 Marshall. But there's more than that, and it's not just Ed related. There's a little bit of Al on the record too. But I'll save that.
What did you just say, Chris?
What?
We need to go back, rewind, and start with the word Al, please.
Well, I'm going to have to do a little of the read the book, kind of thing. But it's not the Wah story, which Wolf mentioned that got completely misconstrued because his Uncle Pat, manipulated the Wah because he was getting tired of, his foot was getting tired while they were working. He was working on the solo, so Uncle Pat started working the Wah for him. That got picked up by people and turned into his uncle Al played the solo on his record, and played the guitar solo on his record. It's like, no, that's completely wrong. That's the internet for you, and the telephone game basically. But no, there is a bit of Alex Van Halen DNA on the record, and I'll leave it up to you guys to dig that out. That will be in the print article. So it's got a good chunk of Van Halen, stuff going on in the background there. So just cool.
That's priceless.
Yeah. And that was something I hadn't heard from. I can't check every interview that he does. I don't have the time, unfortunately. I've got to work. I've got to write. I've got to do interviews with other people and write product reviews and do whatever and do that stuff. But I hadn't heard him tell anybody about that detail. So that was really a cool thing.
Chris, let me stop you for half a second. We've heard, I've heard of half a dozen interviews that he's done in the last couple of years. Okay. The interview that you just gave us an excerpt from is gold. He speaks to you when you interview him. He has a slightly, guys, correct me if I'm wrong. He has a slightly different tone. He seems even more genuine with you. And the interview that 10 minutes that we just got to hear, that's some of the best Wolfgang interview I've ever heard.
It is. He's very comfortable.
And I'm not just saying this to stroke you, Chris. This is absolute fact, and we all just heard it.
He kind of opened up a little.
He respects you, and it shows in your interview. I can't wait to hear the rest of this.
Oh, we respect each other. I think it's a mutual thing too. We had that interview a year ago. It was almost exactly a year ago. We talked about the future of the WVH company, and of course, we talked about a lot of other stuff. And that was a really long interview, but that was kind of a re-breaking the ice kind of thing, And that was not talking to Wolf as a kid or in a Van Halen context. And I'd love to put that on there, but it was such a bro love kind of thing that we kind of got off tangent an awful lot, on stuff. And it's like, man, it would take me a year to edit out all the stuff that is only between us three, Matt Bruck, Wolf, and me. But it was, I've gotten good feedback. I will say that. I mean, I hate to be one of those guys who brags about himself, and sometimes I enjoy being. I mean, I've got an ego like anybody else, but I think I get the feeling I get him, because I've been around him a long time. I've known him since he was a child.
Randy Price says it very well. He sounds more relaxed when he talks to you. Yeah. And I hear it. I hear it just as plain as day.
Well, I'll say this, and cool. I'll leave it at that, and I won't go on about it. But I will say that Matt Bruck told me as an aside. He says Wolfgang hates doing interviews. He absolutely hates doing them.
Excellent.
But I guess he enjoyed this one. I mean, that's the side I got. But I guess he does
sound really relaxed. In some, as Charles said, he does sound a little stiff. you know.
Yeah, I think it was interesting because it was supposed to be 40 minutes and it went over. You know, it was really more like about an hour and 15 by the time we were done. Like I said, I've got 60 minutes of meat on the bone. You know, I had to cut about 15 minutes out that were just either the publicist introducing us all and setting up the thing and us talking about stuff, or when we did a Zoom, so it was only 40 minutes, so we had to rejoin and all that stuff. And I had like little extraneous stuff. And there's sometimes where there were a few questions where I asked him something, and I think a lot of people, I used to get criticized a lot, by people over on various forums about, oh, well, he didn't ask Ed about this. And it's like, no, I asked Ed about that. The problem is that the answer I got went nowhere. And it just doesn't make for a very compelling read in a magazine article. Mm-hmm. So that stuff hit the cutting room floor. And there was some of that stuff on this stuff. It was just like, there was a couple things I asked him and he was just flat out, I don't know. And it's like, rather than making you listen to a long-winded question and all of a sudden Wolf just saying, I don't know, I cut that stuff out. So there wasn't a whole lot of that. And there was one thing where I think I had misheard something, and that kind of set Wolf off on another path. And it turned out, Matt corrected me later, said like, there's nothing there, basically. So it's
outstanding. It's outstanding.
Great. But yeah, it was a good interview. I enjoyed it. And like I said, it was a drag for me to realize that, after it got transcribed and everything, that I have, this big, huge chunk of text that's all really good. And it's going to have to be turned into this for a print article.
No.
Right.
But, and I talked with the guys afterwards and said, like, can I put out the whole thing? Like, sure. So
excellent.
Good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Nice.
Well, we can't wait. We cannot wait to hear it.
Yeah, and it is the making of the album. That's the thing. It's really, we get into the more studio nuts and bolts. We get into some Guitar Geek stuff. I don't know I'm sure he must have been one of the guitar. I just don't look at some of the other guitar magazines because various reasons I don't. But I don't know if he really said like which one he used the Dirty Movies SG. If he mentioned which song that's on, but I did get an answer out of him on that. He said he also used the blue. He calls it the Wolfenstein. It's had many names over the years. Back in 2015, it was called the Booberry, I think it was. And I think I called it the Frankenberry, but it's the blue striped Frankenstein bass that he played on the.
I love that bass. That was the first bass he used live. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, nice. So that's about half the bass on the album. The other half's the Music Man that he used almost exclusively on the first album, Music Man Stingray. But it was really, there wasn't a whole lot of extra stuff on there. A lot of the stuff where he used other alternate guitars actually ended up on the cutting room floor stuff that will probably be on the next record. Hopefully, knowing him, he'll probably change his mind and say like, I've moved on from that, and it's going to be another situation like we just had here this week with unreleased tracks being leaked out somewhere. We can finally hear him playing that Viet Citron baritone Shark, wow. I mean, it was good. We were all engaged. We had a great time talking, and I was loving it, just hearing it. For me, it was a thrill because, as I said, I've watched him go through this process. I did his first interview, with him and his dad. That was his first interview ever, and to watch him go from the kid, giving a hard time to his dad to this mature adult artist, it's just like, wow, it's really cool to see this progression that he's gone through.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so articulate, so articulate. That's what I think is great. That he's really expressing himself well and getting his ideas across, much more in depth and in detail now.
Yeah.
It's really impressive how he's getting older, and he hasn't squandered what his legacy has been. So many kids in his position just fall to the wayside, and he's doing the opposite. Wow.
Well, I think it's kind of like there's a lot of rich kid syndrome, where it's like, oh, especially like when you have something like with Ed passing, and obviously, Wolfgang inherited the empire essentially, but he didn't just say like, oh, I'm just going to live off the fat of the land. He's out there working, and he's out there paying his dues. He's playing even on this headlining tour. He's playing smaller venues. yet he's lucky that he does get to go out and do the Foo Fighters and the Metallica shows at stadiums and everything like that. But he's out there with, the guys on a bus all together on the same bus. It's not like they're at the level where they all have their own buses, and they're out there sweating it, and he's paying his dues. So if people think he didn't pay his dues as a teenager with his dad's band, well, he's doing that now. He's doing it backwards,
Exactly. And I hope we get a chance. Me and Tony, we were at a show in Raleigh, and he had to cancel because of COVID. The Dirty Honey show. And
right.
I hope we get the opportunity to see him in a smaller club for at least the next couple of years before he gets too big and doesn't do that anymore,
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that his career goes on a tangent and keeps on going up and up. But I've been telling people, go see him now. Go see him now, and you can talk about when you saw him in a small place and you were like this far away from him or whatever.
Yep.
I want to see.
I mean, that was one of the first thing at Cafe Wah, the tiny Cafe Wah basement, club there in Manhattan when they did that preview, the pre-tour, 2012 shows. And having Wolfgang, 2 feet away from me, literally 2 feet away from me.
That's crazy.
And now even down the Pawns and Kings thing, I went to go see him, and it's like I could only get within maybe about 40 feet, and I'm sure next time it's going to be 60 feet, and it's going to be 150 feet, and whatever. Right. So,
yeah, I know they're doing it that way. Their meet and greets are socially distant.
Yeah. He takes that stuff serious, which is good because it's like, band members have had COVID and stuff. So, and I think Wolf got it too for a while there, and
sure,
it's just like they want to stay out there. And it's a drag to have to cancel shows.
Yeah, it is, and on a lot of band and crew and their families. Yeah, it's hardship all the way around.
Yeah.
When that happened last time, he's clear out here on the East Coast, on the other side of the country.
Yeah. And what's the best way to get back? Take a plane, but then you're surrounded by people. And can you take a plane because you can't pass the test? So he has to hole up in a hotel motel somewhere or on the bus or whatever, and everyone's got to wait.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, it's it will be out. I don't know any idea what it's going to look like, what the photos are going to be going with it or anything with the article. And I was even a little worried because I had a specific word count and I went over, but it looks like everything worked out that it's not, at least the story that I turned in, it's not going to be cut down. I'm hoping. I never know after the fact when it goes into editing and everything, but again, getting permission to do the whole kit and caboodle, the whole hour-long thing is just going to be really cool.
It's priceless.
Yeah.
It's priceless.
So mid-November, Chris, the year
mid-November
end issue?
It's the holiday 2023 issue. And it should be out, it's basically the issue shipping this week. This is how tight to the deadline we were and everything. It's going out to the printer this week. And, and then usually it's about 3 or 4 weeks, in fact, sometimes it trickles out a little bit before that to subscribers, at least the print issue. The digital issue goes out at a specific time because that's under control. But yeah, it will be about mid-November. So
right on.
That is excellent.
Well, everybody, I would say keep your eyes and ears to the grindstone, because this young man has announced that he is getting married in October. We are in October. It is the 3rd. So this news will probably come quickly.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. Yep.
I hope he has time for a honeymoon because he's got those first headlining shows coming up in early November. So
there they
are.
Yeah,
November 4th. So that's doesn't give much time. But I'm sure they'll have something planned after that, so be a bigger, longer period for that too. You don't have to do it right after your wedding. In fact, I think it's always better to do your honeymoon a little bit later after that, because it's just the wedding is such a big production, it
Absolutely
wants to take off and be exhausted.
Right.
Mom and Dad didn't have enough either.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of cool.
Wow.
Him going right.
So he'll be married when this article comes out, Chris, and we all get to hear this. He'll have been married.
He'll be married. Yeah.
At least a couple of 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
we'll give the early here and now, before we forget, we'll give the congratulations to Wolf and Andrea.
Absolutely.
Yes. Right on.
That's excellent.
Oh, right. So we'll have to see how the writing goes after all this, Chris. After you get married, everything changes.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see the perspective, but who knows? I mean, Wolf, he does talk about going to a place, and so he gets into a frame of mind, when he writes songs. So it's not always reflective of necessarily the world around him. So it's almost like an actor, taking on a role. So it's just he prepares for it, and just goes off into a different mindset. So it's interesting. It was interesting to get that input from him about that.
His lyrics are absolutely unique. This last album, couple of the songs, and I mean, we listened to it. I've listened to the album countless times, and there's still lyrics that I've pulled up on YouTube and listened to the music and read the lyrics while I'm listening, trying to figure out what in the world it is that he's conveying. And I'm totally interested, and I am clueless. Is he singing about a girl? Is he singing about a friend? Is he singing about what in the world is he singing about? He's got my full attention, and I'm totally intrigued with the boy.
Well, that's part of the art, is that with lyric writing, is that to make it open to interpretation. Sometimes you can relate to it in your own way. It's
different for everyone who hears it.
Yeah, and that's I think that's the key to actually writing a good lyric, where when something again is too obvious, it's kind of like, oh, okay. Yeah. But when you listen to something, you kind of put your own thing on it. It's like, okay. So, but yeah, there was some aggression,
Oh yeah.
There's a ton of aggression. A ton of aggression.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Yeah.
I think he discusses the internet trolls as well. I think.
Yeah.
Am I right? I think was.
Yeah, right. Was in particular was about internet trolls and everything.
Yeah.
It's kind of a jumping off point, though. It's really not specifically about any particular thing or whatever. It's just kind of an inspiration. It's kind of how he gets into that headspace, is that frustration, with that stuff. And it's just boy, I can relate. There's times where I see stuff out there, and it's just like, especially when there's just something so damn wrong out there, and you'll see something on YouTube where someone says something about Ed, and it's just completely wrong. Yeah. And you see that this thing's got 40, 50,000 views, and it's just like, oh God, you're poisoning the well here, people.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can comment all you want, and they just ignore you because it's all about the likes, it's all about the views, and there's so much tabloid shit. I just like even Japan stuff. I just see some of the stuff about Japan travel. I'm just like, oh, this stuff just is like, it's just not the way it is, at least not my experience, but it's just people just stirring the pot,
Sure.
Yeah.
When we were rating the songs, we were brutally honest. I got to say, right, guys.
I was.
And, And there was some songs that we liked less than others, but I have to say that I loved how the drums were in the forefront. I mean, you could really hear the drums.
Yeah.
So good, so well.
The
balance of the mix was fantastic.
I think that's the thing about, because Wolf really at heart is a drummer. He's kind of a drummer first and foremost, and it's amazing considering how good he is on guitar. That and that's part of the reason why he does these albums himself is because it's one of the few chances he has to play drums.
Yeah.
Pure and simple, you know.
A lot of skins going on there too.
Yeah, so that's why, you know, it's like he was kind of saying like, I don't know, because I enjoy playing drums so much that I just, you know, and this is my chance to really dig into it. So yeah. I mean, he was hoping to do on the Taylor Hawkins tribute, you know, he's hoping to do one song, you know, just sit in with one of the other groupings of people and play drums, you know, in addition to what the stuff that he did, you know, that he fronted, you know, the Van Halen songs that he played. But he was hoping to just also, but it just didn't work out that way. It was such a big production, so many people and everything, and there just wasn't the time. But he was really kind of jonesing to get behind a drum kit and, you know, bang a couple songs out, you know, and but
that
that's
cool.
He loves the drum.
Yeah, nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
He makes such fun of himself. He has a wit and a sense of humor that reminds me of Dave back in the day. I mentioned that once before. It's a unique type of humor.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all his own.
Yeah, it's a lot of that stuff's rubbed off on him. You know, you can see things. You know, I see stuff in his vocal inflection that I won't name, but it's like, you know, I know who he picked up some of his vocal inflection from and everything too. So it's just he picked up stuff from various people around him. You know, unfortunately, he's had a good group around him too and everything. I mean, you know, with Dave, say what you will, you know, but at least he had that experience of, you know, getting out there on stage with Dave, you know, David Lee Roth and 3 tours and everything. And so, but it's just, there's it's like I said, it's fascinating because it's just to have watched him over this progression now, you know, 30 some years. You know, I first went over to the studio and met him, and you know, when he's just, I didn't really meet him. I mean, he was there, but when he was 3.5 years old, 1994.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Go out if you have not gotten your copy yet. Go to the Mammoth official site. You can get the CD, or you can get the black vinyl.
Oh,
it's still there. Yeah. You got a bunch.
You can just download it on Apple Music and rock and roll down the road, guys.
You got a bunch of, at the Mammoth site, you have a bunch of cool new merch options that go with this. Shirts and hats and hoodies and flags and a lot of cool stuff. But go out and get this great album. Yeah, it rocks.
Yes.
Yes. Right on.
And I guess he's got a good deal going too for at least another 4 records. So of course we've seen how that stuff sometimes happens, but I know he's going to make good on that. So it's not going to be like some of these other people that we've saw that got, you know, bands I won't name, but I can name about 4 or 5 bands that got a big deal, and all of a sudden they just kind of went, you know.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And don't forget that next week we will be eagerly awaiting to talk about the Sammy Hagar remasters. Yes, the box set is here, baby. So expect that next Tuesday right here. And another congratulations to Wolf and his lovely bride right there. That is a cute little picture.
Yeah.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. We want to thank our special guest, Chris Gill. It's so great to see you, Chris, as always. Absolutely.
Rock.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Thanks for the indulging the preview, and I'll do my little self-promotional thing, but go to my if you can, subscribe to my YouTube page, because I'll be putting stuff up there. The preview will be going live on there if you want to give it another listen. I mean, obviously you can play back this one too, but I'll have that up in a couple days on my website, so you can check it out. Same thing, basically.
Yeah, right on. So his links to his YouTube is down below. Go subscribe there. Some cool stuff and more cool stuff to come. He's just getting his YouTube page going. So yeah, you'll like it. Give a subscribe over there, please. Yeah. But it's a bunch of cool stuff there already. You'll be like, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got more Tokyo guitar stuff to come. That would be after I get this Wolfgang thing complete, because I'm putting a little bit of stuff, because it's an hour long, so I'm just having the Chris and the Zoom call stuff going back and forth is kind of boring. So I'm going to put not a whole lot, because it's tough to do too much, but I'm going to be putting little pictures up just to, when he mentions a guitar, a photo of that guitar will come up. When he mentions this, item, this will come up. That kind of thing. So I'll be getting that done, and then trying to get to work on the Japan stuff. I did the Fender flagship store. There'll be a look at Ochanomizu in its current state, which is the big guitar street. It's a big street full of guitar shops. But there's also my favorite section of Tokyo, my favorite little hideaway section. I mean, people know about it, but it's for me, it's just like, it's more bang for the buck. There's like about 4 or 5 shops, and one vintage guitar shop with what I call the $1 million guitar wall, of just brilliant, amazing stuff. And what else do I have? A little bit of actually a store that I found I really dug in Osaka. I didn't really get to deep dive into Osaka too much, but I went to one area that has a bunch of music shops, and I found one shop that I thought was particularly cool.
That's awesome.
So at least that stuff will be coming up. And man, with the exchange rate going on right now, people, oh my God, I want to go back. Because it's a A+1 first world country with like fourth world prices going on right now.
Wow. Did you quickly want to show them your toy that you picked up? Ah, there it is. Look at that beauty.
The little guitar.
That is absolutely badass.
Yes. That's awesome.
Whatever, but but this is like a little ESP guitar, $250. $250.
Oh my goodness.
And it's made really well. It plays really great. It's flawless. The fretwork's flawless on it. It's not a cheap guitar by any means, but price wise, it was cheap. And I saw so much stuff that I just wanted to like go get a crate and put it on the ship and send it home, and I still would have been ahead.
Wow,
but and like going out to eat, and stuff is just you can get meals for like incredible meals for like $5.
Oh my goodness.
It's just but just there's so much to see. I still I look at stuff I get back home. I know I keep on raving about, but it's like every time I get back, it's just like, oh my gosh, I missed this, I missed that. I discovered something else that I'm on the internet. I'm looking at something I went to, and I found out, oh, this is right next door. It's like, oh my God.
That's great.
It's just deep. And for guitar lovers, I mean, it's just a it's heaven. It's so much. I mean, CDs can, actually I have to take that back, because I got the Balance CD with Crossing Over on it for $2. And you can, there's used CD stores that you can get stuff for a good deal. If you're buying stuff new, it's expensive still. Even exchange rate, it's kind of nuts. I don't know how people spend that much money on CDs, but it's fun to go places. You hear music that you haven't heard for years. That's it. Especially a lot of 80s rock. There was one place I was in, and it was like I think it was like an Okinawan restaurant or something. And they were just banging the 80s rock tunes, the hard rock. It was just like, wow, I haven't heard this song in years. And it's like, wow, this is so cool. Coffee shop I went to in Osaka, a guy had a bunch of, his concert tickets and stuff. And he turned out to be the coolest dude, metalhead, old metalhead. He runs this, really great craft coffee shop, pour over and all that other stuff, really high quality, best coffee, really good. And we were talking about all the bands that he saw. He saw Van Halen in Osaka, when they were there in 2013, on tour, and big Van Halen fan, Jeff Beck fan, Dio, Ozzy, it's just like,
wow.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and the punk rock beer brewery I went to, it's just like, why don't we have this kind of stuff here? And I have a daughter, so I couldn't go to like some of the hard rock bars. Like there's up in these high rises, up like 20 floors or whatever. There's guys that have like their record collections, just walls covered with vinyl. And, and you can go out and play DJ if you want while you're having a beer or a cocktail or whatever, and pull records out, and other people can come and do this. Instead of doing karaoke, you can kind of play DJ, but it's with all this guy's rock records. And this other guy has a bunch of guitars, like he has a whole bunch of guitars on the wall, and he has a little stage, and you can find a few like people and get together and jam. And some of these places hold, a handful of people. Some of them are bigger, but there's all kinds of these gems out there. And it's just like, why can't we have this in the United States? Why can't we have nice things?
It's a different vibe.
Different culture.
It's funny. Yeah. I know you're tight with Marty Friedman. I caught him at the Fillmore a couple of months ago, and he just kept raving about the vibe from Japan.
Yeah,
just raving about it as he would introduce different. His whole band was what the bass player was from Osaka, the drummer Tokyo, and you could just see his face light up when he talked about it.
Yeah, we hear this from everyone. We hear this about the music scene from everyone who goes over there. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just some, I mentioned that last time, Saikama, the kind of the Japanese Kiss, but they're kind of like, like three Yngwies in the band, just three shredding, head-ripping guitarists. They've had a number of different guitarists in the band, but they have the makeup and everything, and it's just like, they were around actually in the 90s. They get back together every now and then, kind of like Kiss does, and go out and do a tour or whatever, and do some crazy stuff. But yeah, it is. It's kind of like one of those things you go over, and you become hooked. You just become, it's addicted.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in a store, and like the Star Wars display that they had in this one store is just like,
whoa,
and
oh, wow.
I mean, it's just the kind of crud that you see. It's just like, you turn around the corner, there's something fun. Where's Saikama? Where are they? I have a picture of them here somewhere.
I've got a friend, Mully, who moved out there. He went out there, and he ended up staying there. He's been there 30 years. He got married. He teaches English to Japanese kids, and he's living a good life out there in Japan. Loves it.
They're more open to stuff. It's just like, there's a shopping area with a Ultraman statue.
Oh my God.
Goodness.
Man,
nice.
That's awesome.
It's so much fun.
You should be an ambassador to Japan.
Yeah, I know. I'd hype it up every chance I get. There's me with Godzilla.
That's awesome.
Toho Studios.
Nice.
I mean, come on.
Wait a minute. Let's see that again. You don't get to show us that. A little over, yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Right on, Chris.
Godzilla.
It's so fun. I mean, we don't do this stuff. Like, you live in LA, and I lived in LA, and like, they don't have like stuff like this out in front of Warner Brothers, and even Disney doesn't have like a Mickey Mouse that you can stand there and pose with, just like.
Not the same. Not the same.
This is just up the street. Like I said, the punk rock brewery, Riot Beer.
Riot Beer.
Badass. You go and people are cool and friendly, and I have to show this. These guys are amazing. Every Sunday, this was like 100 degrees out when I was there, and there's these guys. There's a whole group of people. There are all these different groups. They're rockabilly dancers, and
look at them
show up, and they each have their own little sets of portable boom boxes, and
he's got the hair all slicked back.
Yeah. They're out there in the sun dancing, and they do this every Sunday, rain or shine.
With denim on. Wow.
These are the guys. Yeah, that's the thing. It was like, and there's another guy. I have other pictures of some of the other guys. One of these guys had like a full length leather jacket on.
Oh my goodness.
And it's like I'm in shorts and a t-shirt, and I'm burning up. And these guys are out there, and they're wearing this stuff, and they're dancing. And
it's ridiculous.
They have like about 6 different groups, and they all go in a circle. These guys go out and they do like about 10 minutes of dancing. Then they move over to the next group and they do their thing. It's just like, awesome. And that's the rockabilly people. And then you've got the people who are the hair metal people. It's just like, I mean, these guys are, kind of old. They're like probably 60, up there, my age. And they're out there doing the rockabilly thing. And they've been doing this stuff for years. They've been doing it for like 30, 40 years, some of them.
It's their thing, man. It's their
Yeah. So
There's Boner Jams. What's up, dude?
It's amazing how much they love American culture out there. So
they do. Yeah.
They adore it. Yeah.
Yeah. And they embrace it. And that's the thing. And it's just
they embrace it. Yep.
I was hoping, Wolf, when I told him, when I saw him in January, that picture that we had, I told him I was going out, and he was planning to be out there at the time. They were going to do some shows, but that obviously didn't happen. But I was hoping to see him play out in Japan. It was like, oh, that would have been so cool. But he's been there, he's been there with Van Halen and everything, so he knows what it's like. But and he's just itching to get back there too. So it's just and onward and upward with him, and if he gets there, man, that will set him. That will keep him, that will keep his page, his wallet filled. So
yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Let's see where we are. We're okay. Guys, I think we're gonna wind things down here for the night. You guys hang out backstage. Everybody, thanks for watching. Leave a thumbs up here on the video. Subscribe here if you're not already. We talk all things Van Halen here every single Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. And we'll be back again here next week as we are talking about the arrival of the remasters from the Sammy Hagar era. Yes, on my doorstep. Yeah,
absolutely.
We'll pick that apart. Chris Gill, once again, thanks for joining us. Always great to see you, sir.
Thank you. I got to just make a quick comment. I saw Ryan's comment about Saitama and Kawagoe. Oh man, I love Kawagoe. That's like a cool area. It's very old. They have this tower there and this candy street, and you see people on the weekends in their kimonos walking up and down, and that's a very cool vibe place. And Saitama is also where the ESP Guitar Factory is too. So
nice.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's
very
awesome.
Nice.
Have you toured the ESP Guitar Factory?
Oh yeah. I was their guest out there in 2017.
Yeah, you told us about that once.
Yeah. And
I bet that was outstanding. They make such good guitars.
It's amazing. Let's see. I don't want to keep you guys going, but
oh no. We're talking about ESP in Japan here. This is totally cool.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this.
Whoa.
Oh, look at this.
Wow.
Oh.
Some of the guitars I shot.
Oh, that's badass.
Oh my goodness.
This one's carbon fiber.
Oh.
So there's not a bit of wood in that guitar, is there?
There is in the neck.
There is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Flame guitar.
That looks like something you'd see on a 70s van.
Yeah.
One looked like the shark on steroids there, Chris.
Yeah. Yeah, a few of them like that. And that's the inspiration, it
is.
Yeah.
So
damn.
You're doing a great job.
Wow, Chris.
All right, guys, we are gonna bounce here. Everybody have a great night. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next Tuesday. Any last words there, Charles Green?
Guys, just don't forget, it doesn't matter if you travel north, south, east, or west. This is Halenville, and around here, every single road is going to lead you to some Van Halen. I want to thank Chris Gill from all of us. We love you, Chris. Wolfgang, me and Tony need you to come to North or South Carolina, brother. Just throwing it out there. And rock on, you guys. Love you. Be well.